Introduction to quadratic equations. Quadratic equations are equations in which the highest power of the variable is 2. Usually, a variable in this case simply means an unknown, what you are asked to find. And so, every quadratic equation is usually in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. Sometimes quadratic equations are called trinomial equations because they are made up of 3 terms. They are made up of 3 terms. There's a difference between a quadratic equation and quadratic expression. An expression is just descriptive without the equality sign. For instance, I have ax squared plus bx plus c. This is an expression. It is just descriptive. But when you talk about quadratic equation, you have this to be an equation. Usually, you identify quadratic equation by identifying the common variable. In this case, the common variable here is x. And so we say this is an equation in terms of x. The common variable here is y. We say that is an equation, an expression in terms of y. This is an expression in terms of w. And quadratic equations are usually arranged according to the degree. That is, from the highest degree down to the least degree, down to the next degree. Now this expression ax squared plus bx, this is a degree of 2. This is a degree of 1. When I mean degree, I'm talking about the power. And so plus c. Now this c also have an expression that has a term of x, but the power of x there is 0. But usually you don't see this here because whatever is raised to a power of 0 is 1. And so this is as good as saying you have c times 1, and that gives you a value of c. So you don't see this x raised to power 0 there. All you just see is c. So every quadratic equations are rearranged or arranged according to their degree. That is, from the highest degree down to the least degree. So if a quadratic equation is given to you and it is scattered, then the first thing to do is to arrange them according to their degree. That is, from the highest degree down to the least degree. Methods of solving quadratic equations. 1. There are 3 basic methods of solving quadratic equations. One is by the factorization method. The other is by the completing the square method. And also the formula method. Now these are the 3 basic methods of solving quadratic equations. There are times that we can use the factorization method and then we go on to the completing the square method. The formula method is actually derived from the completing the square method. And so I'm going to solve quadratic equations using all the 3 methods. I'm also going to derive the formula method so that you can easily associate yourself with the formula method. In order to solve quadratic equations, there are 3 basic terms, 3 basic terminologies that you need to understand, you need to take note of. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. The expression with the power of 2 is known as the quadratic term. Quadratic term. This is x, and the power of x here is 1. Don't forget this is an equation in terms of x. So this expression with a power of 1, where the variable has a power of 1, is known as the linear term. The linear term. And this expression that doesn't have x, that does not have the variable x, is known as the constant term. That is, this value remains the same irrespective of the values of x. This is ax squared. This is known as the quadratic term, while this is the linear term and this is the constant term. What a and b means is A represents the coefficient. The coefficient. A is the coefficient of x squared, the coefficient of the quadratic term. B represents the coefficient of the linear term. And C is the constant term. It is not C because it is constant. You say, okay, because the first letter in constant is C, that's why I say no. You can have equations in different form. The constant term is that term that does not have the variable. For instance, let's say we have an expression like 4y squared plus 3y minus 2 equals to 0. This expression is the quadratic term. This is the linear term, and minus 2 represents the constant term. The constant term is that term that does not have the variable. And so in my next video, I'm going to take examples, solve problems using the 3 basic methods of solving quadratic equations. So please subscribe to my channel if you have not done that. See you in the next class. Bye-bye.